Oh man, I'm so excited to finally be starting this build. First, I'm going to thank all the people who took the time to comment on my last video. I got some really awesome feedback. One in particular was adding a front access door for part retrieval, which is something I totally overlooked, so I'll definitely implement that. Also, I got a really cool tip about an interesting way to connect the extrusion, which I'm going to try to implement. So, let's go. Okay, here's the model of my machine. I think the best way to go about assembling this will be to start with the two y-axes here, build this top layer of the frame, then add the four legs and start working our way down in layers. So let's go. I've just pulled out my C-beams. I need two of them for the y-axes. I splurged for the C-beam heavy product from Maker Store. It's a little more expensive than regular C-beam, but it's supposed to be thicker and stronger. All right, I need these to be 1 meter. So it looks to be just slightly oversized, so I'm going to need to trim these down first. I've trimmed a hair off and now they both look to be right at 1 meter. Okay, the holes came pre-tapped on these beams. I think I'll go ahead and run a tap through the sides that I just trimmed off real quick to make sure they're clean. Alright, I've got a couple of HGR 15 rails here that I need to install. Looks like, yeah, they're gonna fit on there, not to be too long. Ooh, actually that one might need to be trimmed slightly. All right, it's only like maybe a ½ millimeter long, so I'm just gonna see if I can grind off a bit off the end here. All right, there's a little clearance now, so I can, I'm gonna get all these cleaned off and the T-nuts inserted so I can get these installed. All right, I've got some M4 socket cap screws, 14 millimeters long, some T-nuts. I have this little alignment tool that came with the Ultimate B kit that I'm going to use. I forget how it works. You drop it on here on the rail. Oh yeah, then it slides on the side. And then you slide it along to keep them in the same position as you tighten them down. And it worked pretty good last time, so I think I'll just use that again. I've repeated the steps for the other side, so both the y-axis rails are installed. Okay, we need to cut out the front and back plates that will mount to the C-beam for the y-axis. I've got some 1/2 inch aluminum plate here, and I recently installed a mist coolant system on my CNC router. And it turns out we're not going to use any of it because PCBWay has offered to sponsor all the custom milled aluminum parts for the project. You may know of PCBWay as a one-stop solution for PCB manufacturing, but they also offer a wide range of other manufacturing services such as CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and injection molding. This is a really great service for when you need parts but don't have the manufacturing capabilities in-house, or even just want to save time. I used a total of 33 custom machined aluminum parts for this laser build, 18 unique parts, some with multiple quantities of each. I had the CNC machines to produce them, but ordering them through PCBWay has saved me a considerable amount of time. Ordering was easy. I just exported the step files from Fusion 360 and then drag and drop the files on their website, select the quantity and material. They also offer a number of different finishing options for machine parts, so I can get professional looking parts much better than I could achieve on my own. It took 26 days to receive the 33 finished parts from the date of ordering. There was some extra processing time because of the finishing options I chose. So what I find really interesting about PCBWay in regards to my project is that once I have my machine done and can verify everything works, I can set up and share all my files through PCBWay, so anybody that wants to replicate it can just order and have everything that I have, which one of the goals is to make this as accessible as possible, so I think that's awesome. So anyways, check out PCBWay.com and look forward to me sharing that link when everything's all done. Thank you again, PCBWay. Okay, let's see what we got here. Not only did they mill the custom parts, but they sandblasted them and did a black anodizing, and they look incredible. I opted to not have him do the tapping that I needed. I actually ordered a electric tapping arm machine that I was hoping to use for this. I don't know that it's going to arrive in time for the project, so I might end up doing these by hand. But anyways, wow, they look fantastic. All right, let's tap the holes so we can get them installed. So for the front plates, these four will be tapped for M5. For the back plates, I need to tap these two to be M5, and then these four to be M3. Okay, all the M5 holes are done. I think these M3 I'm gonna do by hand, make sure I don't break a tap off in there. All of the holes are tapped and there were no incidents, so that's awesome. And let's get these installed on the C-beams. I got some M5 by 20 millimeters screws. I think we'll consider this the front side. It doesn't really matter. And let's get these plates installed here. All right, cool. Let's install the back plates. How annoying is this? I'm literally on the first step and I've already made a mistake. I was wanting to pre-insert some of these slide-in T-nuts for later steps, and I forgot to add them into the C-beam. So I guess I'll take off two of these end plates so I can slide them all in. All right, they're in. I could have used the drop-in style T-nuts, but I feel like these slide-in type are more robust. So I'm gonna try to preemptively always insert them into the extrusion beforehand if I can remember. Okay, cool. Both the front and back plates are now attached. So I think we can start building the frame off of this. I have these two 2020 rails that I'm gonna join these two together with. All right, I'm out of room on my little welding table, so I've moved this down here to the floor. Let's see if we can attach these the same way as before. Okay, I'm gonna just check and see if this is square before I snug all these down. That actually looks right on. Okay, good. I'm gonna tighten these down. Okay, I've bought a bunch of these corner brace kits, so I'm gonna go ahead and put one of these corner brackets on each of the four corners here. I flipped the machine over so it's right side up now. When working with T-nuts, I find using a little magnet on a stick like this is really handy for like getting them out of slots like this, pulling them out into position. Okay, all the top corner brackets are on. Let's flip this over and see if we can get some legs on it. All right, I've got 4 pieces of 40/40 extrusion for the legs. They're all exactly 1 meter long. I just measured them. So let's get them prepared to install. Got some more parts from PCB way to open here. They look really nice again. These are gonna be plates that I'm gonna mount on the bottom of these legs that I can thread the casters into. So I need to tap all these holes for M5 screws. All right, this end is all tapped. So I got an awesome tip from Eric R on my last video in the YouTube comments, and he brought to my attention this other type of fastening these 20 extrusions that I'd never seen before, and it's really interesting, so I think I'm gonna try it for this. So basically what you do, I've tapped both the holes in this end for M5 screws, and you have to check because depending on the type of extrusion you get, you may need to do M6 holes instead of M5, so you have to check your dimensions. Anyways, you put both of your screws in there and then you can slide those right into the rail to make this 90-degree connection. So then what you have to do is you have to drill two access holes so you can get your hex wrench in there to tighten those up. So I think this is really interesting, and it could add some extra rigidity to just using the angle brackets that I plan on using. So I think I'm gonna pre-drill all the access holes in these legs before I mount them. So it'll be ready to go whenever we get to that stage. All right, I'm gonna mark out where I need to drill all these holes. Okay, so these are the screws I'm gonna be using, and it looks like it takes a 3mm hex key. So look here. Looks like if I make my holes 4mm, that should give me a little wiggle room and plenty of room to fit the hex key in. All right, so that's what I'll drill. Okay, you could use a hand drill to do this, but the holes need to be pretty straight. And I had a couple Menards gift cards that I keep forgetting to use, so I just went over and picked up this cheap drill press because I've needed a drill press off and on, and I've just never picked one up. So let's try this out and see how it works. Oh, awesome. Yeah, came out right on center, both sides. All right, let me get the hex key here. All right, that seems like it should work. Let me drill it some more. All right, I have this piece done. See the holes there, there, and there. Also on this side. All right, so this one I believe is ready to install. Let me get the others prepped. All right, I got all the holes drilled in the legs, and not regretting the drill press purchase one bit. That made really quick work of all this. All right, so let's get these legs installed. All right, we're in. All right, so I'll just snug these up for now until we can make sure everything's square later. The 4 legs are attached, so I need to add some corner brackets to these legs. I've got all the corner brackets attached to the legs. Okay, with that done, let's start working on this next layer. I need to cut out all of these extrusions. They're all 2040 extrusions except for the front, which is 2060. So let's get them cut to length. I've got all my extrusions cut to length for the next stage. I need to get to tapping all the end holes for M5 threads. I got all the ends tapped for M5. It took about an hour, and now we need to drill some clearance holes for future steps in these rails before we install them. All right, I've also got to drill 2 holes right here through the long side. Okay, I'm getting this level all laid out here. I just cut out this beam to be 180 millimeters long, and I've tapped both sides. It's gonna go right there. So now I need to do the 2 pieces that will stick up vertically. So I'm gonna get those cut to size and tapped. Okay, I've got the 2 vertical pieces cut and tapped. So I believe this is all ready to get attached together. I did notice one thing is that I never accounted for drilling the clearance holes in these 2 beams here. So I guess I should disassemble this real quick and get those drilled and the hardware inserted so we're ready to go. Okay, I've removed these 2 beams here so I could drill the holes, clearance holes for both. So I think it makes sense probably to go ahead and mount these vertical beams to them before I install them back on. Otherwise I'm going to be trying to do it upside down. Okay, so I've got a couple button head screws and I threw in a number 10 washer on top of it. So We can go ahead and get these started. Okay, I may as well go ahead and get these angle brackets on here at the same time. I've attached the other one the same way, so now let me get this put back on the machine. Okay, I've got it put back together loosely, so I believe we're ready to go ahead and get all this pre-assembled, and we'll try to slide it on from the top. Got my short piece with the button head screws in, put some T-nuts in here. Okay, I've went around and pre-added all the hardware to make sure I'm not forgetting anything that's going to need to be on here before I install it. And this is the bottom side, and I believe I finally got everything. I need to flip it over and add some more hardware on the other side before we can install it. I've got all the hardware installed on the top side now. I've even got all of my screws here ready. All right, everything's sitting on top now, and everything's roughly in position. Now I just need to try to slide each of the 4 legs down onto these screws. Okay, those actually all slid in really easy, much easier than I was expecting. So now let me see if I can flip this thing back over and slide it back down into position. I've got to make sure these screws line up to hit this vertical rail here as I lower it down. I'll probably have to start snugging them up as I lower it down here. Okay, I've got it into position finally, and I've loosely tightened down all the screws through the access holes. I don't know if it's worth all that extra trouble. Boy, that was a real pain to do and a lot of extra time. Hopefully in the end this will be worth it. So I guess now I need to check and make sure everything's in the correct position accurately and square, and then I'll start putting on all these angle brackets. Okay, I've got everything properly aligned and all the angle brackets installed, so now we need to start preparing all these pieces for the next level. It's all going to be cut out of 2040 extrusion. Okay, here's where we're at. I've cut out all the extrusion for the next level here. So I need to get the ends tapped and drill my clearance holes. I think I'm ready to go ahead and assemble that next layer together so we can slide it on. I've got this all assembled with all the hardware. I need to put in some T-nuts that I'm gonna need, and I'll tape them into position so they don't fall out. Okay, I believe we're all ready to go. Are you helping Daddy? Thank you. Okay, I got that second layer secured and it's coming together nicely. It was much easier than the first. So just one more. Let's do the floor and we'll have this basic frame ready to go. The final layer is going to be made out of 2040 extrusion again. We're going to need to make the floor and the 3 vertical beams. Okay, I got everything cut to length and tapped and clearance holes drilled. Got all the hardware installed on these last 3 pieces, so I'm going to flip it upside down now and slide them in and get them installed. I've got all the hardware installed, so I think we're finally ready to get the casters on it so we can flip this over for good. I got these leveling casters for the feet so I can move it around if I need to. So I need to tap all of these foot plates M12. All right, I got all 4 of those tapped, so let's get them installed on the machine. All right, let's see if we can get this right side up. Look at that. I'm pretty happy with how the frame has come together so far. I'm not totally sold on the blind hole connection method for a project this complex. It's definitely possible, but oh boy, it adds a lot of complexity to everything. Anyhow, I'll leave all the links to all the products I use in the description. I want to give a big thanks to PCBWay for supporting this project and supplying me with all the custom aluminum build parts for the project. Also, I wanted to mention that Skyfire has recently published a post about building custom DIY machines that I'll leave a link in the description you should check out. Also, thanks to all my Patreons for making this all possible. Thank you guys.